was several months ago when we talked with Mike McFarlen at Firekeepers Casino and Patty Parker at the Food Bank of South Central Michigan about the Hub. And back then, there was all this excitement about the work that's being done at the old fire station number 4. Actually, I don't think it had started yet. And so we were all excited. And these days, and in fact, I think at that time, and Mike and Patty are here this morning, by the way, that we thought maybe the fall opening was a little optimistic when you're trying to, make perfection happen.
Ambitious, absolutely.
And so the work is still going on, but we thought it'd be a good time to catch up and find out where we stand with the Hub, the old fire station number 4 in Battle Creek. So good morning to the both of you. Thank you for coming today.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
So are we done yet?
We're really close. Actually, Patty and I were talking about we've got an opening date, which we can't, of course, announce yet.
Yeah,
but
understand.
We took some extra time to make sure everything was done in order to preserve the building, in order to make sure that we kept a lot of the history of the building intact, which we felt was important.
Yeah.
And so right now, we're in the process of finishing up the drywall inside of the building. The parking lot is paved. All the new windows are in.
Boy, those are finishes there.
Yeah, the pizza oven is in, the one that we brought in from Italy. The hoods are in for all the kitchen equipment. They're roughing in the bathrooms. They're all the plumbing, electrical, the HVAC is all roughed in. So right now, we're really in that 60-day stretch to finish.
If this were HGTV, this is the part where we'd say, oh, yeah, it's starting to come together.
It is.
Yeah.
And it was some of the timing with the weather and the winter and things like that, were impediments and, coming to the end of paving season and all those kind of things. It was the construction crew just did an amazing job, and the architects and, of course, the tribal council and everyone that's been behind this project from the beginning. When I went in there and saw the concrete floors that have been put in, it just gives me chills to go in there to think what this is going to actually look like and produce for our community. I think it's just going to be an absolute amazing synergy when it gets up and running.
And in case you weren't aware, a component of this helps the Food Bank of South Central Michigan. So while we're out there enjoying the the food choices at the Hub, there's actually going to be a hub of activity going on behind the scenes, Patty, because the Food Bank is involved in this.
Absolutely. We're going to have, they've been so generous in giving us, a pantry at the back of the Hub. And that particular area, we've never had a chance to have our own pantry, but at the back of that area there's a hole in our distribution area, I believe, for Battle Creek, especially for fresh food in the wintertime.
Yeah.
In the summertime, it's good, but not so much in the wintertime. So we're hoping to fill that in years to come, but also have that pantry there that we can not only distribute food from, but also play around with best practices to help in the other pantries that we have, both in this area and across all of our counties, to help develop them and help them thrive as well.
Mm-hmm. And that connection is one that I presume is easier made when you have an operating restaurant connected with it.
Well, the nice thing about the restaurant here is because one of the things that we have been so good at in the last 2 years is sharing the idea of food tasting along with some of our food that we distribute. Right. And we could not do that without the chefs at the casino. So the relationship we've built up and the camaraderie we've had, both with the chefs and with our team working with the people who come and are in need, I think has been amazing. Being able to distribute that information, get people who get different fresh foods they might not be familiar with to feel empowered to actually fix that food and start using foods in season when, of course, they're less expensive and they can get them easily and use them to feed their families. I think that synergy is really going to be amazing around that whole pantry and the Hub area.
And the Hub is almost done. They're working on it diligently, and we'll talk about that more coming up on 95.3 WBCK. Mike McFarlen is here from the Firekeepers Casino, and Patty Parker from the Food Bank of South Central Michigan. We're talking about the Hub, used to know it as Fire Station number 4. It'll still say that, I think, up there. But it's going to be a whole new hub of activity. And you mentioned, Mike, a minute ago that it gave you chills to see this coming together. And it's, if you'll just remind us, it is appropriate because this was an idea that you had just driving by, if I recall the story.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Bedford Township, so not to throw any digs out at I-94, but I have a tendency to stay off of 94 just due to unforeseen possible circumstances.
Yeah.
So I pass this fire station, daily, and I'm like, wow, that would really be a cool restaurant, or it would be really cool to do something with it. And it was kind of weird how things just converged. I ended up having a kind of an innocuous conversation with Patty. We just happened to stop by and visit one of the MIF bands, which was a pilot program, which is designed, to educate less fortunate people, about how to prepare, how to prepare foods.
Yeah.
And so I said, yeah, I'll stop by. I'll do one, and we'll figure it out. Well, that led to another, and then we ended up partnering for the whole MIF band program. Then I ended up on the board of directors at the food bank, and then one day I kind of thought, wow, it'd be really cool if we could, fund some nonprofits through some sort of a revenue generating stream. Because every year you go back and say, here's the amount of money out there for nonprofits. You have X amount of people that are begging for the same money. And so it goes here, here, and here.
Yep.
How could it be possible that we could maybe fund some of these programs at the food bank or at Safe Place or at some of these, community oriented nonprofits? And so I came up with some idea that maybe we could do a restaurant and a food pantry or distribution center, and took it back to tribal council and fully intended to, give them I showed it to the executives first. They thought it was it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And it isn't my idea. It's a collaboration of people's ideas, but I never really thought that it would be received so well at the ownership level and the funding level.
Right, which is always where the rub is, right, Patty? I mean, I've been on nonprofit boards, too, where we've had exactly the same conversation. Well, what if we opened a store? Or what if we did this or that? And then you say, yeah, that's nice, but where's the money going to come from? And that's often what happens in those discussions. Isn't it?
You often hear good ideas are a dime a dozen.
Yeah,
they really are great ideas out there. But they only really become amazing when you have somebody behind them who can drive it, who can sell it, and who has the backing of, like you said, when the tribe and the leadership all step behind it. That's when something truly extraordinary happens.
Somebody steps up. Yeah, that's incredible. So let's talk about what you're doing at Firekeepers in terms of, there's more than one restaurant there. You've got a major food operation going on there, and how you incorporate what the hub will be into all of that. Yeah,
we've got 7 to 8 restaurants if you count our employee dining facility, which feeds between 700 and 900 people a day. And actually, as marketing and the whole group got together, the full name for the project is the Fire Hub, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's there's homage to the casino, the fire station, and everything fire. So what we wanted to do, and I sat down probably 6.5 years ago with Dory Rios, who is a tribal council member, and we sat in a back room with a couple other people and we're figuring out how can we reduce our food waste? How can we reduce our carbon footprint? Can we get some of this stuff to, some of the farmers for composting? And then we thought about how can we pack food maybe, and we had some really good ideas, and it just wasn't the right time. I don't think we had the experience or the depth in my staff to do it. And so it just sat on my list. It sat on my list. So we thought, wow, here we have this Kendall Street Pantry, which is going to be the pantry and back. Why not take the food off the buffet that's no longer visually appealing, but very, very nutritional? Mm-hmm. Food that's left from a banquet, say they have a 200 banquet party, 100 people show up. We're able with our technology to blast chill that food safely, take it into a cold room we have called the Garmager, pack it into individual family packs, whether it's a pound or 2 pounds, protein, starch, vegetables, and label those, date those, weigh that, and then take it over and give it to the Kendall Street Pantry.
That whole process is the key here, right? Because I presume every restaurant or banquet facility deals with this issue, but the ability to recognize the process that you have to go through to preserve that,
Yes.
and then execute it.
Yes,
is
and
pretty big.
honestly, it's unfortunate that the majority of the restaurants either can't afford to do it because it involves labor and packaging and time and things like that. And we've got a commitment from MIS this year, which is fantastic because we're partnered with them, that when they have their big races, we're going to collaborate on how we can get all of the leftover food, because it's hundreds of thousands of people.
Right.
And they're located in Jackson County and things like that. So that was our thing. We got it going. We're like, okay, before the hub, we're going to stockpile this food. And then we got really good at it, and we're like, why are we going to wait? So as of right now, we've donated just over 2,000 pounds of these packed food from Buffet and Banquets to the Food Bank of South Central Michigan, and it's already been distributed. And it was interesting because one of our gaming commissioner's son is in a Boy Scout troop, and he sends me a picture of that troop packing our food for distribution. And I thought, what an amazing circle of philanthropy. I don't know, another one of those little kind of chill moments for me. I'm kind of a chilly guy.
So that food gets to the pantry, then what happens, Patty?
Well, at the moment, it's coming directly to the food bank. And like Chef said, we then take it. We have volunteers help us put it into full kits, because you have your 1 and 2 pound bags of the protein and everything. And we put it all together in like a meal, basically. So that can simply be given to people. And there's your meal.
It's ready to
all
go.
they have to do is take it home, read the instructions, warm it up, and you have your meal. That's powerful when you're not just giving them food that they can make, but food they can actually just
right.
heat
Here's
up and eat.
here's a rutabaga, a turnip, and a celery root. Go, make something that your kid's going to eat.
Oh, rutabaga. That takes me to Thanksgiving at Grandma's house.
Takes
right
me to
there.
Brussels sprout land, which is not my favorite. not my favorite land to go to.
We were talking about that the other day. Tim was saying, just put a little olive oil of that and salt and pepper in the oven for a few minutes, and it's not bad.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He's not convinced yet.
Good for him.
I also have a friend who does a bacon on top of their recipe somehow, and that one was pretty good too.
I've done caramelized bacon with balsamic reduction.
Tried that? Yeah. Still not selling it.
You
huh?
can eat it. It's just if I'm in a restaurant and I've got a choice between a couple of different things, it's just probably not gonna make it.
Understood. By the way, we were talking about burnt ends a little while ago because it's on the Super Bowl restaurant list. Burnt ends at the casino. Oh my!
Yeah, it's they do a really nice job in smoke and fire with that. I mean,
They do.
Yeah,
They
John
do.
Williams, the chef down there, is very, very savvy when it comes to barbecue, and we've got all the authentic elements in there to do that. And that's the great thing about having a staff as qualified as I do is it's they make me look great.
Well, they taste great too, and it was funny because I was with a group of 4 or 5 people, and one of them ordered burnt ends, and the rest of us were all breathing on his plate because we went, "Whoa, that looks really good." Yeah, we didn't forget to order that the next time.
Excellent.
So when we come back in a minute, we'll talk about what the experience will be like at the hub when it's done, and I think we're going to try and take a tour of it next week and give folks a little sneak peek at how the progress is coming.
Absolutely.
But we're in the home stretch here. 8:25, back in just a moment to talk a little bit more with Mike McFarlen and Patty Parker about the hub. Stay there. A couple more minutes with Mike McFarlen from Firekeepers and Patty Parker at the Food Bank of South Central Michigan. So we're going to walk in to the hub at some point, and what will it be like? What's your vision for the way this should feel?
Well, what you're going to do is you're going to walk into the main entrance, and you, at that point, have 2 options. You can go left if you're going to go into the Kendall Street Pantry, or you can go right, which is going to lead you into the restaurant. And if you go right, you're going to go into a kind of a exposed tin ceiling, stamped concrete floor with a bright red pizza oven that burns at 900 degrees. It's going to do a Neapolitan-style pizza, similar to the type of pizza they do at Volcano Pizza up here in Battle Creek.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a wave of aromas hit you from the espresso machine that we have that's going to be doing a significant amount of coffee drinks, which I think there's a vacancy there with Brown Street or Brownstone, I think, that closed up on Main Street there on Michigan Avenue. So you're going to get coffee smells. You're going to get a lot of bread smells from the retail bakery because we're going to have all these fresh breads that were baked that day on display for purchase. You're also going to be getting a lot of different smells from the breakfast offerings. Rum chata French toast is one of the ones that I think is just amazing. So it's a rum chata batter that you use with the French toast, and it's just this brioche, and and then as you move into the lunch hour, you're going to have a lot of different sweet and savory aromas that come out from the different sandwiches. And initially we're looking to be open from 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning until 6 p.m. The whole idea being we want to feed the breakfast crowd. We want people to be able to purchase some bread. We want to be able to go through a lunch period, and then into 6 o'clock where people can get pizzas to go, possibly dinner to take out. And if there's a demand at some point for us to open Friday and Saturday night for dinner, we are in the process of purchasing a liquor license.
Okay.
So we may be able to do something. We're really trying to strategically open this thing in waves based on community demand and what our guests are going to tell us we want. But you're going to walk into this place and know that there's a serious commitment to the city and the community. And you're also going to know that every time you ring a check in there, 50 cents of that check is going to go into a donation fund on top of the money we donate at the end of the year.
Doesn't get any easier than that.
No, it's pretty, and instead of a tip thing on the check where you would normally put on a credit card receipt, it's a donation. So we're not going to accept tips, but if you feel like an optional donation, you put it right on there. Again, it goes into a donation. So again, very easy for someone to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to leave $3, what I would have left for a tip, and it's going to go directly into our donation fund, and then that will be part of the distribution we give to the nonprofits at the end of the year.
That makes Patty feel warm and fuzzy.
It sure does. We are so blessed with some amazing commitments from different businesses and organizations in our community. But when you have one that steps up like this and actually puts it into their work plan, that makes it a part of the actual operation that they do, it really doesn't get any better than that.
Well, we thank you for the update today. And someday we're going to talk about this oven that came from Italy. That's the next thing I was going to ask you about, but time has run out. So we'll get to that.
You can see it in the video tour. We will actually, if it's not unwrapped, we'll unwrap it and let you guys get a sneak peek behind the scenes because that's a teaser.
Okay, then we will do that. And that will be sometime next week, and we'll let folks know when that gets posted at WBCKFM.com. Mike and Patty, thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk again soon.